Leading off the show, with elections approaching, our first guests want to encourage you to head out to the polls, exercise your right to vote. And joining us for a discussion on voter turnout, we have 12th District leader and the man in charge of everything in the community, always has his sleeves rolled up, Andy King. The councilman is in the house, and Democratic Senatorial candidate Jamaal Bailey. We welcome you guys to the show.
Dr. Bob, thank you for having us.
Oh man, it's always a pleasure to see you guys. You know, I love when I'm out in the community and I see people out there just taking care of business, showing people what to do, giving them direction, and that's what you guys stand for, and that's what you've been about for a long time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about voter turnout. Tell us about it.
Well, voter turnout is so crucial, especially in the borough of the Bronx, but any place across America as we jump into the presidential elections. But we've always learned this whole mantra that politics is local. When you have challenges or issues in your neighborhood, as much as we might want to run to Washington, you still got to run down to City Hall or your community board or your assembly member or your Senate or your Congress member. So we just want to make sure that people understand the importance of turning out to vote. And when they turned out and voted in the primary, I'm grateful that we have our Democratic candidate who was successful, Jamaal Bailey, for Senator 36 Senatorial
You saw him out there on the front lines. Give him a big round of applause.
Yeah.
You were out there on the front line.
You know, it's a labor of love when you work for something that you want, and when you want to lead the community that you were raised in, that you grew up in, you went to school and you worked and you attend church, and it's a lot of love comes out of it. So it was hard work, thanks to the great support of Councilmember King, Speaker Hasty, but most importantly, the community who overwhelmingly selected me to be the Democratic nominee for the state Senate, and I'm eternally grateful.
And here we are.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is a very, very, very important election coming up. Tonight is the debates. What do you think is going to happen? What should we expect?
What to expect from Donald Trump? A calamity, a show is what he's going to put on, but at the end of the day, it's going to be about substance, and it's got to be substance over style. The voters must go out to the polls, like Councilmember King, first and foremost. You got to go out and vote, but you have to choose substance over style. Who can lead you, right, versus who can give you a good show? And Donald Trump is going to give you a good show, but there's nothing going to be substantive about his show.
Yeah. Can you get a feel for which Trump or which Hillary is going to show up tonight? Which way is it going to go?
You know, it's the sad thing about this. I was watching one of the Sunday morning shows, and when they did an assessment of the debate, the thing is, the bar is set so low for Donald. As long as Donald doesn't mess up and just say something that's just ridiculous, if he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, he's had a successful debate. Hillary, on the other hand, has to demonstrate that she is that executive that everyone is always looking her to be, that she's more intelligent, she's more smart, she has a way to be able to navigate through the system. So the thing is, if she doesn't deliver on that, that's a failure for her. But that bar is set a whole lot higher than Trump. One thing he just says is to sound like he doesn't sound like a buffoon when he's talking. Yeah. So it's not really fair how it's balanced. But at the end of the day, I just tell voters, look at the best person who can offer what we need. You know, Trump has been in, he's been that guy in the living room sitting with you who have to have a couple of beers and will say anything that you might think is okay. But the reality is having somebody in office who can lead this country, who has a record of being able to provide service, hasn't constantly gone out there and ripped off people, which Trump's enterprises have done, but someone who's done some of this work. And that's what we need right now. We don't need somebody trying to figure out where the restroom is. Hillary knows where the restroom is.
But lately, Trump has been riding a fine line. He's been teleprompter ready. They said he's been on message. He toned down a little bit. What do you say to that?
Well, the question is, what is that message, right? What is the message for the benefit of the actual people that really need the assistance in the United States of America? You know, the message that I'm hearing is for those folks who have different views on equality, for those folks who have different views on the economy. Those aren't my views. Those aren't the views of the Democratic Party. And I believe that the principles of this country, of this state, of this city, will be best upheld by Hillary Clinton. I'm looking forward to watching that debate tonight. And I'm looking forward to making sure that we mobilize people and getting them to the polls, not just in New York, but in North Carolina, but in Virginia, but in Ohio, the battleground states. Get on the phone, call your family members. This is an important and vital election. We need to make sure we're doing that.
Now, and I'll end with this. We've just had one of the greatest presidents of the United States history with President Barack Obama. All the work that he has done, the Republicans vowed to undo under a Trump administration. So we cannot allow America to take 50 steps backwards after we fought so hard through all that this president's gone through to get us where we're. And there's a lot more work to be done, and I think Hillary is the best person to continue to improve and make the adjustments where they need to be made.
How about the Supreme Court justices, judges?
Well, as a practicing attorney, I've always understood that the judiciary is the forgotten branch, right? A lot of people forget about the judiciary and people forget about the Supreme Court. As you know, the Republican-controlled Senate has failed to seat Merrick Garland. It's been a ridiculous amount of time that they failed to sue it. And then they have the hashtag on Twitter, "do your job" or something of the sort, and they failed to act. We need to make sure that a Democrat, Hillary Clinton, is in office, because the most dangerous thing that President Bush did was not just the war, not just the weapons of mass destruction. It was the fact that he was able to put all of those members of the Supreme Court on the court. In the next 8 years, there are going to be 2, maybe 3 Supreme Court justice seats opening up. We need to make sure that the Supreme Court not only stays more centric, but goes a little bit left. That's where we need the Supreme Court to go, to undo Citizens United, to undo some of the ridiculous things that this conservative court has done.
How important is that, to have a Supreme Court going in the direction that you want it to go in?
I think that you have to have a Supreme Court that recognizes that the United States of America is compiled of a whole host of different ideas.
Because when people go to the polls, they don't think too much about that Supreme Court, but
No,
that president, whichever you choose, will be able to choose that Supreme Court
Right,
justice
and
to sway in either direction.
True. But when you recognize that you have a system of Americans who have different views, how do you be able to mix and mingle all that in your decision making, not be having tunnel vision and saying, I'm going to be way over here to over to the right or way over here to the left? Then what you end up doing is alienating a certain group of your population. And then you make decisions that affect certain populations, which you should never have. All your decisions should be equally effective to everyone. And we know in the country of the United States, if you have the wrong people in the judiciary, decisions are skewed. To one favors one set of people and hurts another set of people.
All right, so what do you tell people who say, well, my vote doesn't count, I'm just one person, I'll sit this one out?
I would encourage them to look at local elections in the last 4, 6, 8, 10 years and just look at the vote count. Look at the separation of those. If one person in every household said that, right? If an election is swayed by 30 or 40 votes, that's one person in a household. Your vote counts. If you look at our recent elections, no matter what, no matter where you're at, every single vote counts. And whether it's a top of the ticket race, a down ballot race, every single vote counts.
I add this. Ask Victor Pacharo at votes count. When he got into office by 2 votes, every vote counts. So no one can afford to sit home. And when you have voting power, you have political power. When you have political power, you have economic power. When you have economic power, you have community power. And that's what the people in the borough of the Bronx need to understand. You need to register to vote. You need to be counted. So when we start when people start looking at how do you treat certain communities, they can say, okay, if there is 179 people live in that district and 79,000 of them vote, we got to pay attention. But if 400 vote, we can ignore them.
People pay attention
to people who participate.
So you have to participate, exercise your vote to vote. Listen, I'm going to give you a camera right here. I want you to reach out to the people who are coming out to vote.
Well, I'm going to let our senator-elect, since he's up for, he's going to be running again in the general election come November,
yes,
to share his message.
Well, so if you're in the 36th Senatorial District, I encourage you to go straight down the Democratic line and vote Hillary Clinton and Jamaal Bailey for state Senate and Hillary Clinton for the president. But most importantly, no matter where you're at, if you're within the sound of my voice and you can see what we're doing on this wonderful television program, your vote counts. Your vote matters. People have literally died for the right to vote. You should not forsake that. You should understand that this is a gift that we have to vote, and you should open that present on Election Day and make sure we select the right person, Hillary Clinton for president, our first woman president. My daughter will be very happy.
And Jamaal Bailey for Senate.
Yes, sir.
Now, is it difficult for people who, first-time voters, difficult for people to go in and pull a lever? What do they have to do? Or where can they go to get that information before they get to the ballot box?
Well, as a district leader?
Well, there are a couple of things, right? If you have any issues or concerns, right, you can go to 1780 Grand Concourse. That's the Bronx Borough Board of Election office. Yes. So you can go down there and have questions. But in terms of pulling the lever, if you've ever taken a test in high school, like a Scantron, you just bubble it in. And if there are problems at the polls, if your name is not on the rolls, you can fill out an affidavit ballot. You can give the Bronx Board of Elections a call. You can contact people. Your vote counts. Your vote matters. You should not be disenfranchised. You need to let us know what's happening at the polls. If your name is not up there, if certain things aren't happening, let us know.
So if you go, they scroll through and they look for your name and they don't see it there, what do you do again?
Fill out an affidavit ballot at the polls. Request an affidavit ballot, and you put down all your identifiable information, and then you would submit that.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you, Dr.
They'll
Bob.
call you senator before you get there? Or?
Well, listen, Democratic senator-elect, and once Hillary wins, I'll win, and we'll make history.
Well, good luck to you. All right. Where can we go for more information on you guys?
Well, you can reach out to me at andy.kingcouncil.nyc.gov, and I invite everybody to join us at 11:30 today at a major unveiling press conference that we're doing on Gun Hill Road and White Plains Road. We're getting ready to transform NYCHA up in the North Bronx. Come be a part and see what we're doing with DOT, sanitation, MTA. It's going to be amazing once the jobs are done.
There you go. Okay. And we can reach
you can find me at www.jamalbailey.com, JAMALBAILEY.com. You can find me on Twitter at JAMAALTBAILEY, where I talk about politics, sports, and random musings, and most importantly, the community.
All right, there you go. Jamaal Bailey, Democratic Senatorial candidate, SD 36.
Yes, sir.
SD is?
Senatorial District.
That's right. Give him a big round of applause, everybody.
Thank you.
Also, Andy King, council member, CD 12, Senatorial District 12.
Council District.
Council District.
District 12. There we go.
There you go. All right, we've got to take a quick break right here, but stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Open next.